in the real world, well, the non-YouTube real world, uh, me and my friends who are with me here on YouTube hang out and we talk. Uh, Brandon, who you know from the channel, had this strange green observation that we talked about. I was like, we've got to put that on the channel. So, in this bonus video, Brandon Robinson returns and we talk about his strange green observation. So, it's fun when non-YouTube life and YouTube can blend together. And so that's why we're here right now, because we were talking, we were hanging, and well, this very smart gentleman here brought something to my attention that I thought we could talk about here on the channel. If you agree, leave a comment. If you disagree, leave a comment. Please leave a comment. Yes. Share the video with your friends. But before we get to Brandon's observation, let's talk about why this channel exists. That is so that I can tell the world about my 68-page graphic novel, Everlasting Survivors, all day long. That is the Nick Crook cover. This is the Jeff Hicks cover. That's also the Jeff Hicks cover. There are limited first printings available at Etsy.com. There will be a link to the first printings. There will be a link in the description for you to buy your first printing at Etsy.com. And without further ado, Brandon, why are we here doing this bonus video?
So we're here because I think that these two movies are very similar, but one is definitely more loved than the other.
Okay.
And that is Green Lantern, the first movie.
I feel like that movie's not loved very much at all, sir.
Oh yeah, that movie is not loved.
Okay.
But the first Doctor Strange movie, I think people will like it, not love it. I'm gonna say like it.
Yeah, I thought I had good feelings toward that.
Yeah, but definitely one is definitely more financially.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, than the other one. And that they have the same plot. They are literally the same movie.
How dare they? How dare they do that?
Yes, well, Doctor Strange also ripped off another movie.
What are you talking about?
They ripped off The Time Machine.
Really?
Yeah.
With the climactic scene? Is that what you're talking about?
No. With the
by that
animation. The animation. What is it? What if? The Doctor Strange What If?
Oh yeah.
Episode.
Yeah.
Is literally the same plot. Same things that happen with the Time Machine.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's another thing that we can talk about
cool.
later on if you want to hear about
That's okay.
Yeah.
No, I had a very similar frustrating realization like this before we recorded this video. I was watching a show that I like called The Rookie, and they were hitting beats of a show that I love called The Following. Have you watched either?
Mm-mm.
So The Rookie is about an old man who becomes a young cop. Like, he's young into being a cop. But we're now 5 years deep into that, so that's kind of fallen to the wayside. But during the process, the old man who was a young cop, he stops this serial killer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's a woman. But in the most recent episode, it was ripping off another show from Fox called The Following, where a FBI agent has this big adversarial relationship with a serial killer. And the serial killer has a following, a cult, that believes he's great. Well, in The Rookie, it started doing that same thing.
Okay.
And so, like I said, when I was watching that and then thinking back to our conversation, I was like, is there anything original?
Yeah, that actually is a good question to ask.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, okay, so why I feel that Doctor Strange and Green Lantern are essentially the same plot.
Absolutely.
Okay, one, the villain. You have Parallax and you have Dormammu. Big heads, ultra powerful things. You
Absolutely.
need to stop.
Yeah.
You have Caecilius and
Who's Caecilius?
Caecilius is Mads Mikkelsen, the one who
Oh,
killed.
that's his name.
Yeah, it's I know. He's one of the lower tier villains.
Yeah,
but that is Mads Mikkelsen's.
That's
name
cool. He's just so.
Yeah.
He's present, but I can't say that he's monumental, and thus I forgot his name.
Yeah. Now I can't remember the villain's name for Green Lantern. The one that
has the big head.
Yeah.
Hector Hammond.
Yes, Hector Hammond. They are the same. They even basically kind of die the same way of Parallax and Dormammu taking
care of the problem.
Yeah, taking care of the problem.
Yep. Well, you also have the interesting parallels between Sinestro and Baron Mordo, who are mentors to the namesake hero, who are, I don't know if they're always sleeper agents on the opposite side, or if throughout the film they turn. I think it's in both cases throughout the film they turn.
Right, they turn
because I don't think either one of them were legitimately bad, but they become bad.
Yeah, Sinestro gets afraid and he's like, we're not powerful enough
to
fight Parallax. And the same, well, not the same thing, but he feels like she betrayed the Sorcerer Supreme. Betrayed her core values. So he's like, okay, they all must die. So
but again, it goes back to their core is shaken. So regardless of the how or the why, their core is shaken, thus they switch sides. So even in the aspect of the turn, it's very, very similar.
Correct. Yes. The love interests.
Okay.
Are basically essentially the same.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, the love interests, except for the he gets the girl, the Green Lantern gets the girl, and Doctor Strange doesn't for reasons in the first film.
But don't they get together later?
Oh no, because remember, even in the sequel, she marries somebody else, and Doctor Strange too.
Man, that sequel is so forgettable to me.
So
sorry.
No, you're fine.
I remember they were together like physically.
Right.
So I forgot they weren't together like relationship wise. Yeah. Wise.
And for Doctor Strange and Hal Jordan. Yes, Hal Jordan is more jokey, but they're both infinitely cocky and arrogant.
Oh, that's true. Well, here's the other thing, though. What would you call the power of will other than magic?
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, as much as I like Green Lanterns, I do, and I very much enjoy the reimagined version of Green Lanterns that Jeff Johns did, where each emotion gets its own color and they have their own teams. Let's be real. Green Lantern is always a wish fulfillment.
Right, because he's like, use your power of your imagination to create whatever.
And if wish fulfillment was to be called one simple word, it's magic.
Right.
So it's like, even that piece of that puzzle fits perfectly in as like, I'm with it.
Taika Waititi is in the film in Green Lantern. He's a friend of
Yeah.
Hal Jordan.
Ain't that funny?
And even kind of Wong, they're kind of a little bit, except for Taika Waititi doesn't die like Wong does in the first movie, and then
but he's not dead.
He's dead, right? He reverts time, but it's
and here's the other weird connection. Now this is not movie similarities, but maybe Taika Waititi is the explanation all along. Maybe he was like, hey, you know that movie I was in? Let me go over to Marvel Studios. Hey, Marvel, let's go remake this movie.
idea.
I doubt it, but that'd be funny.
Yeah. He's like, you know that movie that almost no one saw, kind of universally planned in DC? What? A bunch of stuff? No, Green Lantern. Oh yeah.
But speaking of the studio concept, I think that's legitimately the biggest difference between the two films. And what I mean by that is, didn't Green Lantern release before Man of Steel, or was it?
It was supposed to start off the cinematic universe of DC. So yes, it was before Man of Steel.
And it's after Superman Returns, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I think there's at least a chance or an argument that could be made that the reason Doctor Strange gets so much more love than Green Lantern is because of the foundation that is laid at its feet. Like it has that golden path of love and adoration that was preordained for anything with that labeling on it. I think, and by that I even mean like things that have nothing to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe started throwing that Marvel Studios, like in association with Marvel Studios logo on it. Like, doesn't Venom and Morbius and Amazing Spider-Man 2, like all these movies that now, granted, now 2/3 of what I just said are associated very, very loosely, or in some cases more loosely than before. But I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe love and just the preparation, maybe that's a better word for it, the preparation that was put in by having that pre-existing world. I was
thinking
maybe that's why Doctor Strange gets more love than Green Lantern.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a bunch of different reasons why. I think that's, hey, MCU, ever since Phase 3, that's unanimously like you guarded as the best phase out of Marvel's Phase 3.
Okay.
Because it started with Civil War and it just kept catapulting until the very end of Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, anything that's associated with the MCU during that time.
Is that when Doctor Strange came out?
Yeah.
Man, it feels way earlier than that.
Yeah, it was, I think, right after, I think it was the second movie in Phase 3. Because Civil War was the beginning of Phase 3.
Okay.
So it started, like, Phase 3 started already high.
Yeah.
With Civil War, and it just kept going up.
That's cool.
After that. But I think also you talked about it when we were at work, and I agree with you 100%. Green Lantern keeps shifting way too much from space.
Yep.
Which that is the best aspect of that movie.
Yes, please stay there.
It's space.
Get off of Earth and don't come back.
Yeah, and I think everybody unanimously agrees that it should have just stayed in space.
Yep.
Somehow. Don't know how, but it just should have.
Well, I mean, here's the how. And I don't mean Hal Jordan. I mean, how to do it is he gets trained, they stop Parallax from getting to Earth, and you save Hector Hammond for a second film.
Mm-hmm.
And so you clean it up, you compact it, and you have the fight off of Earth with Parallax. Don't ask me how you finish the fight, but whatever. They've got years of experience with the Guardians and all that jazz. So all you do is you make Parallax the fight in space, and then you save Hector Hammond. I'm not necessarily saying what I'm about to say was done well, but it was done, and so that's all I'm saying is it was done. Kind of like how that they saved the leader, and also a big-headed, big-brained character in the MCU for years down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who knew that as soon as the character drank Hulk's blood that was in that, was it the blood spot? That wasn't Stan, right?
Yeah, well, he gets when whatchamacallit turns for the first time, Abomination. He gets knocked over, he gets his head cut, and some of Bruce's blood drops into his head.
Yeah, the soda pop was Stan Lee's gimmick.
Correct.
I forgot which one. But my point is, they saved a big-brained menace for the future. Because anybody who watched the Incredible Hulk movie knew that, they're making this... Well, anybody who knew they were making the leader could pick up that they're making the leader.
Mm-hmm.
But they saved it for years down the line in, surprisingly enough, to be introduced in Captain America New World Order.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense to me, at least, to say the leader will run the New World Order. Those two things fit together. And, like I said, saving a character that you've established to be reintroduced later, I'm fine with that. So I think that's how they could have done Green Lantern better, was establish that Hector Hammond was infected. Don't stop him, per se, but just have him realize that he needs to step away, hide away, and then get things together. And then all the focus is in space. And you can have Hal end on Earth, get the girl, have a tipper tape parade or whatever, you can be on Earth, and then that's pre-established as to why that, hey, now he's here, next problem down the line as you go ahead.
Right, because for Doctor Strange, the moment he gets to Kathmandu, he basically stays there.
Yes, exactly.
Except for he gets to New York by happenstance because Caecilius,
Yes.
the villain,
Thank you.
tries to take over. He destroys one of the buildings. Doctor
Sanctum
Strange
Sanctorum.
Yeah. And then he gets knocked into the one in New York.
Yeah.
He has to protect it. It just was through happenstance.
And and just smart writing is the
right.
point.
Yes.
And so yeah, no, I see your observation. It makes perfect sense. But again, going into this breakdown, this analyzing of it, it also makes sense as to why one is better than the other. Because, like we said, if Hal would have stayed in space in Oa, it would have been like the training that Doctor Strange did. And this was just interesting.
Yeah, but I think you touched on a little bit more that we can touch on a little bit more that I want to talk about is anything really new?
Mm-hmm.
That is a great.
It's the question that I don't know if can be answered. So, I'll talk about Everlasting Survivors as an example. So, there are there are times when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, what's it like?" And so I used two comic examples because it's a comic, and so I said it's like DC's Resurrection Man and Marvel's Fantastic Four because it's a team with a family dynamic. But their power base is like DC's Resurrection Man, which is characters that can come back from a death blow. Mm-hmm. It's not perfectly analogous to either because, they're not exactly the Fantastic Four and they're definitely not exactly like Resurrection Man. But I think that it's a fine example to give when, using a Venn diagram to say, "Oh, do you know this? Do you know this?" Well, this is kind of like that. And so even when things are, like I said, its own thing, you can always see echoes of inspiration of, prior existing properties within them. Mm-hmm. Like I said with The Rookie and the following. So I'm sure that a serial killer having fans isn't brand new. Actually, didn't they just do a new show called Dahmer?
Yeah.
Starring... one of the Quicksilvers.
Yeah, the newest one or the latest, the last one. Yeah.
And so I bring that up because clearly he has some sort of following as far as fan base goes. I don't quite understand it, but it does exist. So I'm sure that's more likely as to why the comp shows are doing it, not so much copying a show that got canceled, mm-hmm. but copying a thing that people know exists.
Yeah. But, okay, even in that discussion, I guess what I always ask is that even fair to ask somebody? It's like, hey, what is this like? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because, as a writer and a creator, of course, you're inspired by things that you have seen, mm-hmm. watched, do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where you take inspiration.
And so many times within the context of the stories, they're real life things that I had gone through. Mm-hmm. Like, the reason in Volume 1 there are... scenes that happen within a TV station is because I worked at a TV station. And the same goes for scenes and other things that I've written. I'm like, well, I write it because it's something I can understand and can convey to the audience. Mm-hmm. So I agree that neither example I give of what the story is like has anything to do with why the story exists. Like, I didn't write the story to be like Fantastic Four or Resurrection Man. It just so happens to be that those are two examples I can give to say this is something you might recognize. Right.
And I guess even since we're staying on Marvel and talking about it just a little bit, like with Shang-Chi, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. with the action scenes and choreography, people are like, "Oh yeah, man, it's just like The Raid." And I know you haven't seen that movie, but if anybody who watches The Raid or watched it, and you watch Shang-Chi, you will know like.
They're fans of it.
They're totally different. As far as like that you can't even really compare the two.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting.
It's like comparing badminton to tennis. Just because you hit something with a racket,
I like that.
Yeah,
that's good.
They're not the same.
Yeah,
they are not the same thing.
I like that. Yeah,
and I think as fans of stuff, I do it too, even still today. But I try to catch myself.
Sure.
I try to always like, oh, this is just like that.
Right.
But if it's like, no, not really.
When we stop recording, I'll tell you exactly a great example of that, but I don't want to tell the public because I have this idea where it's like, oh, it's like this and this put together, but it's nothing like this and this put together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's fun. I think you'll like it a lot.
Yeah. A movie that I asked Oz to watch and he didn't like, and I understand why. This movie is very mixed, but Drive with yes.
Can I rename the movie?
Yeah.
I want to rename it Dry.
Yeah. The protagonist. What's his name?
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling.
It's dry. It's not Drive. It's Dry.
He rarely talks. Like rarely. I mean, so anyway, but people are like, oh, so is this kind of like Gone in 60 Seconds with,
or Fast and Furious?
Yeah, Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I've heard, not heard, but I've seen people make that comparison. Like when they saw the trailer, they're like, oh, Drive, it's like Fast and Furious, or there's a movie I really like, but it turns out critics were, I don't know if critics or audiences weren't a fan, because I saw that a movie I really like starring The Rock called Faster had really bad reviews, which I would love to review this on the channel because like I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I was like, man, that thing is fun, it's smart, it's interesting. Anyway, back to the point. Faster and Drive were both, via trailer, gave that impression of Fast and Furious, or like you said, Gone in 60 Seconds. But in neither case did I think they were actually Fast and Furious. I thought they were their own properties, period. Now, granted, I don't really like Drive, and I do very much like Faster, but they're not that stereotypical action film.
Right.
They both have more depth to them than Fast and Furious films.
For instance, I'm glad that we even, as he has on his, we don't have on our shirts, but Batman.
Oh,
for instance.
Well, you have Batman's antagonist.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about Batman, here you go.
Batman. Okay, the newest film, The Batman. People always said, it's like, hey, what is this movie like? Oh, it's kind of like Seven and something else.
Okay.
And to me, watching it, and I've seen Seven like maybe 30 times.
Really? 30?
Yeah.
I've seen it maybe 5.
Yeah, I've seen it because people are like, hey, you want to watch Seven? It's like, yeah, sure. Seven.
Sounds like you and Seven are like me and the Boondock Saints when I was in the Army.
Oh, see.
Like the Boondock Saints was like a go-to. It's like, oh, you know what you want to watch? And we're like, I don't know. So we just went to watch the Boondock Saints.
Just put in, the Boondock
It's easy.
Saints. Yeah. I know it's kind of like, wow, you guys put in 7 that much, but yeah,
hey, that's cool. Yeah.
But anyway, to me, it has nothing really to do with 7 per se.
Really? Okay.
Maybe the Riddler, what he does, but even in that, people said, hey, it's kind of like Saw.
Okay.
And it's like, well, I think that's almost a disservice to it because when people hear that, some people are like, hey, I don't like the Saw movies.
Sure. Or maybe they love them and it's not enough like Saw.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So then you kind of like minimize your fan base.
I see what you're saying. Is it fair to make the comparison, right? So, because let's say, for instance, I say, Everlasting Survivors All Day Long Volume 1 is like Fantastic Four, and people are like, oh, I love Fantastic Four. Then they pick it up and they're like, nobody here is a genius. Nobody here is a rock monster.
Yes.
Nobody turns invisible, and somebody does have flame powers, but they don't. It's not exactly Fantastic Four, is my point.
Right. Instead of saying flame one, no one says let it burn.
Exactly.
You know, it's like that's
and
not
so
really fair.
that's a really good argument to why that it's not fair to make the analogous argument to, oh, this is like that. But honestly, I think your Strange Green observation was very fair because there are so many so many mirrored things. So yeah, I think that your observation, whereas I don't think that Taika Waititi went to Marvel and said, hey, let's remake Green Lantern but make a profit. I don't think it's true. It was just funny to say, but like I think that your observation is more accurate than a lot of the easy comparisons to make about things. Because when you get too general, it gets too general. It's like it's just too easy to say it's like Saw or Seven.
Right.
When just because there's a mystery there.
Right, exactly.
Or a puzzle to be found, undone.
It's like, oh, it's like the Fantastic Four? Well, I don't really like the Fantastic Four. It's like, well, it's not like that.
Exactly,
I'm just trying to...
Yeah, I'm trying to give you something to understand. Yeah,
I'm not trying to spoil something for you, so this is like the closest that I can get to.
Can I tell you a secret, though?
Yeah.
I actually was not upset when Michael B. Jordan was cast, but I was worried when Michael B. Jordan got cast because I was like, now they're gonna think I ripped this off, but then it was a complete flop, and so I was like, whew.
Hey, actually, we can real quick because we're never gonna watch that movie. I refuse to watch Fantastic
Oh, you do?
Four because
How many times have you watched it?
like 3.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, and okay, so side tangent, Fantastic Four, 2000 and
Whatever it was.
15, 16, whatever. So that movie with production was just
a nightmare.
Yeah, just a nightmare.
Yeah.
You can read about it and hear about it and
course.
stuff. It's well documented.
Well, and I legitimately believe Josh Trank when he says there's a better movie that existed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost no way it could have been worse.
Yes.
So that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, no, I agree because he's routinely said it's kind of like Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, that's not my movie.
Yeah, let's get some bots up in here.
Yeah.
Let's find the bots. Let's reprogram them.
Where's the Josh Trank cut?
Yeah, please.
But that movie has done so poorly that I don't think.
Because the thing is, I like Miles Teller, I like Michael B. Jordan. I can't remember the
chick's name.
Sue Storm's name, but whatever. The lady, I liked her casting just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think Thing was a little weird because he was
small,
itty bitty. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like my height, and I'm short. So.
But other than that, I would have said don't have him naked in the bottom area. But whatever. That's just a
and
weird
then Doctor
critique.
Doom.
Yeah,
was not really Doctor
yeah.
Doom.
So the fact is, there were ups and there were downs.
Yeah.
Maybe just don't release the Josh Trank cut. Maybe just don't.
But see, now with that movie though, to me, it was trying to do its own thing, and it just had no. I think sometimes it is good to have like maybe an idea of something that you want to maybe. I don't like ripping off, but maybe paying a homage to.
Sure.
So that you know how to stay on track.
Well, I have a question because I haven't watched it. And I think you have. As far as the topic of doing your own thing, didn't they try that with the last Fox Studios X-Men film, New Mutants? Didn't they go their own way, try a new route of like,
yes,
hey, maybe we'll do it this way.
Yeah.
How would that go?
Not so well. And once again, it's almost the same thing as the Fantastic Four movie.
Really? Okay.
It has so many reshoots, and
okay.
That's when Disney bought Fox, and they weren't sure, and then they had to redo the movie over and over again. That I believe that there was a very, very good movie in there somewhere. But with reshoots, rewrites, redoing it over and over again, it just gets lost.
So, this is off topic, but I gotta say, that's one thing I love about being independent, is there was no Kevin Feige or no whoever is running Warner Brothers saying, hey, change this, fix that. It was my vision totally. I mean, outside of giving creative freedom to artists to say, scene, you go, here's the scene, and if you want to add, bits and pieces here and there, because they did, I did leave that freedom. It's almost like an actor putting out their own line, and you say, oh, that was a great cut or a great take. We're not cutting that one out. But yeah, there was no a puppet master pulling the strings saying, oh, this is what it's got to be. No, it was my vision for what I wanted it to be. So I got to say that's one upside about being the little engine that could trying to get a product out there,
right?
Is that you don't have that
overarching
mouse that mouse master exactly
looking down at you like, hey, you got to do this.
I forgot. I love that.
But I just think that I mean, this is conversation that I don't think there's really a right or wrong, but
that's the beauty of conversation is that it's fun. It's entertaining, and that's why we're sharing it with the subscribers.
Right.
And please, subscribers, share this video with your friends, because the more you help the channel grow, the more there becomes the opportunity to get more graphic novels out to the public. So thanks for coming back, good sir. And like I said, there's always a link to the Etsy store, so you can pick up your copy of Everlasting Survivors All Day Long, Volume 1, in the description of the video. As we already said before, comment below with your opinions on any of the things we talked about. Share this video with your friends so they can hear this strange green observation. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
Bye.